Well, we are doing Fraud Girl Friday here live at Broker Carrier Summit. What's up, Nate?
What's up, fraud girl?
What's up? I got James. Say hi.
How you doing?
James is with the California Highway Patrol, the Cargo Theft Task Force. The CTIP was like that's the acronym, right? CTIP? Yeah.
Yep.
What do you handle? What area do you do?
So I cover basically from South Los Angeles down to Mexico and then out inland towards Arizona.
So basically like all of Southern California, and it's 4 of you guys, really 2 investigators.
Correct.
Handle any type of cargo theft calls you guys get or receive whatever from CargoNet. You'll see things, and then you guys will work some cases. Made some pretty big busts. That's what we're going to talk about today, is some things that you guys have been doing and working on. Don't give away all the secrets. This is going out in the public, but and then I got Nate here, who everybody should know Nate from GLCS, but intro yourself.
I'm Nate from GLCS, and
Perfect.
I do a little bit of everything. This is my 5th BCS, so 5th BCS. Happy to be here. Got in last night. I'm a little tired, so I think my head hit the pillow about 2 o'clock. So, but you know, we help carriers and brokers with their technology, which includes a lot of cybersecurity and freight fraud. Certainly a hot topic everywhere. I just actually was in San Diego.
San Diego.
San Diego. I think I put that out on a post. But cyber crime was a major topic there as well. Everywhere you go, it's a topic for this industry. Even when you don't intend it to be a topic, it seems like the sessions that you're in just shift to it. From all angles. So every carrier and broker you talk to is very sensitive. It did not make ATRI's top 10 list, but I expect it's going to be on there next year.
Yeah, last week I was at the California, it was a cargo theft summit from Travelers and CargoNet. You were there as well. Yep. And then did a ride along with James and the CTIP fam over there, and did a ride along. We went through the rail. I'll be publishing that video hopefully tomorrow, so before this comes out. But really cool to see firsthand what you deal with, and I think it's very interesting kind of how you work a case, and I guess if you want to kind of spell that out on kind of like the moment you have something that hits your desk, like what do you do from there, and what helps you guys as far as being able to take that to the next step with making recoveries and finding the bad guys?
Yeah, definitely. So usually someone will contact us, either a broker or a carrier or a shipper, relating that, hey, this carrier arrived, our load never made it, here's the bill of lading, and here's hopefully some photos, videos of the suspect vehicle, and we'll start from there, trying to ID the driver, ID the vehicles, try to see if we can find some sort of path that the vehicle may have traveled from the shipping location, try to see maybe where they dropped it off. It's a lot of behind the computer stuff, mostly, and then once we can kind of get some concrete locations, hopefully, of where the cargo might be, then we can start doing the fun stuff of doing rolling surveillance, GPS tracking, things along those lines that hopefully we'll get the bigger fish.
It's literally like a movie, what you guys do. I mean, there's like pulse surveillance, or like watching cargo go in and out of a garage, and yeah, you're like really doing the sting operations.
It would be a 2-hour movie with an hour and 45 minutes of me sitting behind a computer.
And you guys still do a lot of fun
15 minutes
stuff.
of fun.
Oh yeah, I know. But you guys have made some really big busts. So what's been a typical day of James? Let's say whenever you're not behind the desk, you're working a case. What's like a typical day? I know we did some rail work, but what else do you normally do during the day?
So normally we'll be watching either some pole cams, watching GPS trackers. We'll be out in the field looking at potential suspects, watching maybe a cross-dock facility, seeing what comes in, goes out, things along those lines.
And you guys are finding freight really all over California, from like it could be stolen here and then it ends up here because they're moving things around, and then they're shipping stuff back out on the ports. Or what are you guys seeing on that front?
So yeah, a lot of the stuff is stolen throughout the United States, ends up in California due to our ports, and we'll sit at a warehouse. It'll either go across the border down into Mexico, or it'll be packed up into a shipping container and sent overseas or down to South America. So a lot of things are getting stolen, but also a lot more things are coming here to us as well. So
wow.
So obviously the more fun part of the job is being out, hunting and seeking. But what would you say that data that you're all sitting at your desk hunting and accepting the data from those that are calling in? What would you say is the most important thing for a carrier or broker to call you with that they maybe don't? The things that are missed on their end most often that would help you be able to find that stolen load or freight.
Pictures of the drivers, especially if it's not an innocent driver that's picking up the load, someone using a fake ID. We would like to have video surveillance, any kind of photos of the drivers, photos of the vehicles. A lot of these vehicles will have kind of a more specific paint scheme on it, or some owner applied numbers that might help us ID it through like gen logs or something, to where we can help identify maybe if we don't have the correct license plate on it, that we can say,
most
like,
of the time you don't.
Yeah, we can see that, hey, that truck has been used in this theft. And I also remember seeing BOLs on CargoNet for that same tractor because of this specific paint scheme on it, or with this same driver. So it's things that really help us connecting cases together, and also trying to lead us to the actual suspect himself.
Because it's really never a one and done. I mean, they're not just popping
right.
once. It's the same people over and over again, and they're affiliated with a bigger group.
Correct. It's like gambling. They sit there and they'll get a $100,000 load, make $50,000 off of it, and it's like a drug. All of a sudden, they're making easy money.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go do it again and again and again. They can go and pick up 5 loads in a day, especially if they have more than one power unit.
So getting that full picture of the truck, it's like identifying a whale. So, but just the different stripes or whatnot on it. But getting that full picture of the truck, the picture of the driver, that also could be a defense against, or a prevention offense for them picking up a load.
Yeah,
too.
definitely. If you can get the driver holding his driver's license next to him, saying, hey, this is the guy, this is the driver's license he used, standing in front of his truck. If you ask them to do that and they say no, that should be a big red flag.
Right.
There should be no reason why that driver wouldn't be okay with you taking their information, especially since it's part of their occupation.
Especially whenever the freight is X amount of dollars. Like, I think as a shipper or broker, that should be a minimum expectation on things like that. And whenever you do have anybody pushing back, next person, whenever it hits a certain amount of dollars, like we talk about a lot that you mentioned a lot, GPS trackers need to be in a load after X amount, and then after this amount you need to really have a detail following the truck and making sure that it makes it from A to B. And to me, it's like, why is this not a thing? You're shipping $1 million. Like you just said the other day, there's like a $30 million load that got stolen and a $10 million. Yeah. So what happened with that whole situation? Like, what was the scheme on that?
That one, I believe, was a fraud pickup, and it ended up being picked up, I think, out in the Midwest, came back to California, and unfortunately that one didn't have much leadway on it, and it was another agency that ended up handling the investigation and kind of took it over. So I don't have a lot of information on that one, other than I was just made aware that there was a large value theft, and
crazy.
Hopefully we'll stumble across it doing another search warrant on another location. So.
Yeah, I think that's probably, it's a lot different than other types of crime because everything is connecting dots, and then you find a big guy. So I know Brad's made a lot of big arrests, so have you. What's been, I guess, the funnest arrest that you've had, as far as even like the stuff behind the computer, like, oh, I got this lead and this led me to this, like which one has been like the funnest for you, and if you'll kind of explain what happened?
I mean, anytime that we can get an arrest, it's obviously a great case, and we're excited to get it.
Yeah.
Because that's the ultimate goal, is to get the bad guys. Obviously, we want to recover as much cargo as we can as well, but if we can get the guys, at least properly ID them, so that when we get these future cases, hopefully we can say, like, hey, if they use the same fake ID, I remember that guy. Oh, cool. I know who he is. I know where he lives. I know the locations he likes to store things, and we can start working things up really fast.
So the one warehouse, I have a video on, and I'll make sure to throw it in at the end of this podcast, where you guys walked in, and it was literally from here all the way back to the warehouse, all the way to the top, all the way over, all stolen goods. How did you guys find that guy?
So that one was used with GPS tracking.
Okay.
It led us to the warehouse. Once we were able to see that cargo was going there, it put us on the radar. Hey, watch this location. And we sit there and we watch their yard fill up with cargo stacked, 5-6 pallets high, and it's all shrink wrapped and has shipping labels coming from, like saying shipped from Utah and it's supposed to go to Florida, but it's sitting in a warehouse in California. It's like jackpot at that point. We know
Right.
that this stuff's not supposed to be here. And you go inside the warehouse and it's even stacked even higher, and it's, wall to wall. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how exciting that would be with finding this stuff. I mean, I like the whole investigative things on everything. So whenever you do everything, I'm like geeking out over it. It's so cool. And I know whenever you were taking the freight out, it was so high up and everything. It was like it fell on you, right?
Yeah, well, there was one of the guys was using a pallet jack, and it was a bunch of electric scooters. So eight pallets high, and he's sitting there trying to move it with a pallet jack, and this stuff is not secured whatsoever. So,
oh my gosh.
as I'm sitting
apparently they're not too concerned about OSHA.
No, there's no OSHA guidelines followed by this warehouse.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here trying to ID some more stolen cargo, and all of a sudden I see out of the corner of my eye this leaning tower Pisa coming over towards me. And,
oh my God, that was scary.
Yeah, I got to go and try to hide behind another pallet, and fortunately, once it crashed on top of me, I got stuck in a little bubble. So.
Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy?
It was a scary moment for a minute, but it turned out okay.
You're good. You
Yeah.
had to climb through. That's wild. Do you have any questions for him on?
I'm just going along here. So
Isn't this wild?
Whatever.
I mean, it's like last week whenever we were doing, the rail part of it, I think is to me the most interesting because this is a totally different type of theft I want to hear. Like today we were just we did a presentation on your cargo theft stuff, which I've done a webinar on with you guys. And I think as in the industry, shipper, broker, carrier, we all hear over-the-road theft, straight theft, strategic theft. Like we all kind of know. I know one of the persons was like, "Oh yeah, I've had 2 loads stolen." And you're like, "Just 2? Okay, welcome to the show, right? How long have you been in logistics?" But I think the rail aspect of things is very interesting because it's not talked about and it's not brought up to anybody's eyes. So it's scary. It's crazy knowing that this many things happen. And then obviously people aren't getting hurt, so it's not getting prosecuted like it should. I guess talk a little bit more on that, I guess.
So the rail system, it's been hit really hard, especially in Southern California. There's a lot of open deserts, a lot of places for them to hit these trains, throw the cargo off the train once they stop. A lot of times they'll go and they'll cut train lines or set part of the track on fire, whatever they can do to stop the train, unload a bunch of product, hide it in the desert. They only need to move it maybe 100 yards off the tracks. They can cover it up. The brown boxes in a brown desert. I mean, it's not too hard to conceal it out there. So
yeah,
they'll even dig holes and start burying stuff in the ground too.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild.
The lengths they'll go to move all this, and they're bringing out 30 plus guys to hit a train just because they'll take 5 or 6 guys, move a pallet, throw it off the train, and then break that pallet down the best they can.
Yeah, it's an operation.
Yeah, it's complex.
This was discussed at the last conference I was at, and it's almost it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to defend the container here unless it's at the bottom seat if it's a stackable container. Unless it's the bottom seat, it might not be openable, but if it's accessible, you can throw locks on it, but they have time, and there's a lot of people, and they're going to get into that container basically. So it's if they know which container to get into, they know where they want to go. If they're just randomly popping them, they have time. They're going to get into them, and so this is a hard topic to defend against. So
yeah, I mean they're riding these trains for hours, so
right.
it's like going shopping in Costco. They can go and pop these locks while the train's moving, and once they find a couple containers that they're really interested in, or a product that they feel they can get a quick flip on, or have a buyer possibly already looking for that product,
right?
That's when they'll find the opportune time to stop the train and get that product off.
Isn't that crazy? It's insane. Like them already even having a buyer and them shipping it that way. Like it's already before they even steal it, they already know that they want it and it's in somebody else's hands. And then as they're jumping around, to each thing, they're popping locks. Like I'll be showing a picture on this, but they were showing them taking selfies of themselves cutting the locks and like how proud they are. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy when you go and you take one of these phones and you download it and you see the photos and the videos of them actually doing the crime. It's wild. I mean,
that's so crazy. Yeah,
it'd be like someone murdering somebody and videotaping it and then showing all your buddies. I mean, it's just.
I don't want to get too far into how long. So when you do catch them, I mean, I don't know if we want to go down that route, but how long they actually spend time behind bars. That's the one that we talked about at the last one, and maybe that's not the right topic to have with you. I don't know if you can talk about that, but
definitely. It's if you can just even get the prosecution, it's a win for us. At least they know that the DAs are trying to get these people behind bars. Unfortunately, in California, these are non-violent crimes, so they're doing very little time. They may get a year or two in state prison, but they do 30% of that time good behavior, or the jails are overcrowded, and they try to pop out these lower end felonies out just so that they can make room for more of the stuff that they actually want to keep people in prison for.
So there is legislation being presented going forward where if you can tie these groups together to multiple events, that they will be presented as those events together. So that's something that there's lobbying happening for that. So that'll make, if they're coming together with a $300,000 theft, but you can tie them together with 10 of those, now you're getting into a federal. Is my understanding, and you probably understand this better than I do, but there was discussion about this at the last event that was at.
Yeah, trying to get things filed federally helps us out greatly and gets a better case on it. That's why we do sit behind the computer so much, is that we're sitting here trying to tie these cases together and trying to connect dots to show the attorneys like, hey, this is a much bigger thing than just one-off snag of product. It's a complex investigation, and it's dealing with multiple people. It's a very organized scheme, and
very organized.
It needs to be portrayed as such.
And usually they're not just doing one type of crime. Like they're doing other things. Like I know last week whenever we were talking to the BNSF, am I saying that right? They were saying about how a lot of these guys that on the rail stuff, for instance, they're bringing people over either through the border or wherever, bringing them through, and then kind of they're serving their time and stealing X amount of freight to kind of earn their, place here. Hey, we're bringing you over for a reason. And then now that the border's kind of been a little bit more controlled, they're going back to people, that's been here for a couple of years, even so far as like kidnapping people. I mean, it's a lot bigger than just cargo theft. I mean, there's not violent crimes, but they are committing violent crimes. So it's tying all that together too. I'm sure that's very difficult to kind of get all of that together. That's a long investigation, I would assume.
Yeah, well, a lot of those people that are tied in with the cartel, obviously, they're not going to be in the States. They're going to be people that are outside the country making those calls. But yeah, they are going and taking these people and saying, hey, you paid off your debt, but unfortunately, you now have to do this, or we're going to kidnap your family and we're going to keep them as such until you complete this now for us.
Wild.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nonstop, and
it's literally like you watch this stuff on movies and stuff, and you're like, there's no way this is real. And it's real. Yeah. I don't know. It blows my mind.
There was discussions this last week that just blew my mind. That went beyond cargo theft. That went beyond the cyber crime that's happening within the industry, and then started going into the border theft and whatnot that I didn't even know was happening. Just home invasion on the border and whatnot. And
really?
It just blew my mind. Yeah.
And all this is tied with guns, drugs. I mean, it's all wrapped up with this cargo. We'll go and we'll make an arrest, and they'll have maybe a couple rifles or handguns along with them. It's just making sure that the people that they're monitoring is doing what they're supposed to be doing, because they want to keep them from trying to get to the trains, and then all of a sudden like, oh yeah, hey, this is my chance to get away, and like trying to football off into another location, get away from these cartel members, and they got to do their best to keep them in line.
Crazy. And have you guys found, after recovering freight, like drugs within the freight that you find? Or because I know so I'm in Gainesville, Georgia, my that's where I live. But they made a big bust there of it was cucumbers, and within the cucumber packages was meth in there, and it was a whole load of it. So I'm assuming they're stashing this stuff in cargo as well. Have you guys seen that yet?
What they'll do with us is not so much within the cargo, but we'll find it within voids of trailers, or they'll weld in false gas tanks on the tractors, fill that stuff up. They may put a wall up in the gas tank, half fuel, and then the other half might be kilos.
Wow.
And then they'll use that to transport, but not so much inside the cargo itself. We usually get it mixed in actually within the vehicles, just because there's more complex places to hide it.
That's so crazy. Well, I think the biggest thing coming out today, and I'm sure you speak on this enough, is the educational piece. And a lot of the people that were talking there today, this is just broker carriers. There's not shippers here. And a lot of this does come on the dock worker side and the shipper side and educating them. And then whenever that you do file a police report, you mentioned this a lot, speaking to officers in a way of their language. So I think there's a lot of educational pieces that need to happen. But on the part of, when I call and make a police report, what are some terms, I guess, that we use all the time and you're familiar with now, but an officer would be like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah.
What are some better ways of using layman's terms for officers?
Just using plain, simple English. If you just keep it as, hey, this is a theft, and not saying it's a cluster theft or a strategic theft, you just say, hey, I had cargo. It was picked up on this date. It was supposed to arrive at this date at this location. It's overdue. Or they're contacting me and telling me, hey, my truck broke down, and they're not sending pictures, and it's overdue that way too. You just want to be...
And classifying it as theft, not like possible theft.
Yes,
You're saying it's a theft.
If you give any kind of doubt to what it might be, it'd be like saying, hey, my car may be stolen, or I may have parked it somewhere and I forgot where I parked it.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You
gotta be I'm not going out for that.
I parked my car here and it's not there now. It is gone.
Right.
I need a theft report. So talking in those terms helps these local agencies kind of say that, hey, this is an actual crime and it's not a civil matter or an issue of just, a dispute between the carrier and the shipper or the broker.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times the officers think it's more of a civil matter.
Correct.
You talked about that before. So you need to put it into this is actual criminal behavior instead of this is a civil matter. And I know there was a carrier in there, and they were saying, well, if somebody's trying to Zelle me for a payment and they don't Zelle me for the payment and I withhold the shipment, I'm like, well, you withholding the shipment is holding a load hostage, and that is theft. And obviously, you honestly should have never got paid Zelle anyways. You talk about that too. I mean, there's a lot of red flags in that whole conversation. And I'm like, what kind of carrier are you? But with the Zelle transactions, are you seeing a lot of that as well? Or how are you normally seeing that they're doing payments?
Yeah, no, the scams are usually going to be through either Zelle, or they're going to say they're going to pay in cash. And then once the load gets delivered, they're not going to pay you, or they'll pay you a small percentage of it. And they'll pretty much say, now this is mine now. You've been paid, and go file your report. That shows I paid you.
Do you see that as education is becoming more prevalent, and that as technology is increasing to identify these incidents, that there's an escalation cycle here with the bad guys, that they're stepping this up a little bit on your side? I mean, we're definitely seeing it in other areas of cybercrime.
Right.
But in the cargo theft side, are we seeing an escalation cycle there yet?
Not so much an escalation, I don't believe. I just think that these guys are evolving with whatever countermeasures that we're putting out. They're using either spoofing material for macro point, or they're using RF detectors to try to find GPS units, or they'll go through the freight themselves physically and try to find GPS units and take them out, especially with light sensors. I mean, they're just right there once you open the door, there's a light sensor. They just pop it off, throw it on the side of the road, and keep going.
Yeah.
It's just trying to stay one step ahead of them. Obviously, just with any other technology, they're going to find ways to get around it. And it's just trying to stay one step ahead of them.
I think, too, having multiple points, using multiple types of tech to combat that, especially for a high-value load. I mean, that should be a minimum. And then I think putting those extra things in place at least is more of a deterrent. They have to do a little bit of extra steps, and maybe they would rather grab another person's load from the same shipper, but they're, that person isn't doing all these extra things. Oh, I can hit up this broker or this carrier and take from him a lot easier than this guy is asking all the questions or making me do all these extra pictures and things like that.
Yeah, whatever they can see, they'll go through and look at all your vulnerabilities. If they find something that's an easy target, obviously they're going to go for the easier target.
Right.
The more countermeasures you have, the more likely you're going to deter these crooks, and hopefully you can scale it down to maybe only a couple of thefts or no thefts, which would be the ultimate goal. But no, they'll stay with the easy targets and keep hitting them until they actually put some sort of countermeasure involved with the shipment.
Yeah, I do definitely think eventually, though, it will get where they escalate a little bit more. Is it? I think the escalation part.
Even an escalation can be just, identifying an RFD. It doesn't have to be an escalation in threat. It can be an escalation in process. They're just changing and doing business differently. So
yeah, no, they're definitely evolving. Yeah. So I mean, it used to be just straight thefts is what we deal with, or just pilferages at truck stops, and now they're scamming innocent drivers to pick up the thefts for them
right.
that they don't even know.
And they're not even here. They're in another country.
Correct. So there's no real risk to them at all at that point. So, yeah, they're definitely getting smarter. They're definitely putting a lot more thought into it and trying to cover their tracks to hide out who these people are and making our jobs a lot more difficult, along with brokers and carriers.
Right. It's a lot to combat. But, yeah, I think the biggest key is educating, keeping up to date. That's why coming to like summits like this and hearing from you guys really at the source, like what are you guys seeing, what are you guys hearing, how can we help? Really, how can we help? I mean, like somebody was saying too, well, like how come, is your governor aware in California? And it's like, well, yeah, he's aware, but like you were mentioning, there needs to be enough of, emails or letters sent to him saying like, hey, this is a big deal to me. I'm not voting for you unless you make, cargo theft a thing.
Yeah.
I think it takes people to do things like that, but I think as an American, you kind of don't know.
So this is a very bipartisan issue, and it's something that Congress and the Senate are going to be able to agree upon very, very easily, and it's something that's certainly being discussed at that level right now. And
finally,
it took forever, but it's definitely got eyes on it. It's definitely getting more attention. The lobbyists are hitting up in every way, shape, or form, and every group out there from our industry is taking it and shedding a light on it. But it is bipartisan, and it is something that this administration can easily push out there and champion and get everybody behind. So, and that's something that's difficult to say right now. So, but there is no reason that both sides of the aisle can't get behind this one and push it through. So that's something that I think we'll see traction on it very quickly. No one wants this to continue on. So hopefully we see administration changes and we see it become more painful for people that get prosecuted, and they stay away a little
maybe
longer.
Move into a different industry for other thefts.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they
just
will
going to move.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not going to not do things, but let's just shift. I mean, I think first it was like bank fraud. They got a little bit better at protecting for bank fraud. I'm sure that still happens all the time. But I think then they moved here because it's like these guys are easy targets.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, going from what was the big thing? People, you get the scam phone calls.
Yeah.
People trying to get you to wire money or get access to your bank accounts.
Right.
And that was the hot thing for a while, and now we see it with cargo. It's pretty much the same thing, but they're just moving it into the cargo world.
Right.
And then
bigger returns.
Once we start getting this crackdown, I'm sure it's just going to move to a different avenue for them to generate their funds.
Yeah. Well, let's get them out of our industry at least. So I think you guys mentioned to me before, so like you guys having your own cargo theft task force, that did not just come from money allotted from wherever. Like there's actual money dedicated towards your guys, and it was from the DMV, or what is that from again? I can't remember.
It goes through vehicle registration.
Okay.
I think we get $3 for every commercial vehicle registered. That goes towards our funding. And then we are allotted a certain amount of that money based upon the amount of recoveries that we get, and kind of showing them like, hey, this is what we're using that money for. You gave us X, we got you Y, and then this is, why we need more money to keep going, and it's obviously an issue.
And I think the areas that are heavy areas that they have nothing, that is like a great way of going to like City Hall and petitioning, having something like that done. Because I think that's the biggest thing is like people don't understand the money side of it. Like I know people were in that room even were like, well, why is there not more of this and that? And you're like, all of this costs money and nobody wants to pay extra for things, you know? Like I'm not working, like a lot of these brokers and carriers, you're not paying extra money to settle this. You guys are trying to make as much as you can. But I think that is an easy way to get the funding to you guys on each registration. And what's $3? That would be whatever, you know? So I think...
Yeah, no one wants to see their bills go up, but...
Well, the bill's up. It's an $18 million a day problem for our industry. So this bill's here. It's just being paid differently.
Yeah, and I think whenever people are not hit, they try to keep their eyes away and they don't want to invest in it or help with it or whatever. But it's not really when or if, it's when.
Right.
Or at least that's how you should be prepared. Last week, whenever we were at that cargo theft conference, it was very interesting to me because they were talking a lot about what to do to prepare and to run scenarios within your team. If this happens, what's the steps? And let's do a fake one. And like even like only the leadership knowing that it's a fake one and totally making everybody in the team thinking that it's legit. And they have to do all these different steps and see how they react. And then go from there and say, hey, we should have done this differently, that differently. What did we learn? So role playing and doing exercises, I think, will keep everybody aware of it and very vigilant. And training is huge.
Yeah, keep you on your toes.
Keep you on your toes. So that's, I guess, my advice I have to people out there.
Advice from Fraud Girl.
Advice from the Fraud Girl. I try. Well, thanks so much for coming on. This is really cool. And Nate, you're amazing as always.
I do what I can.
He does a lot of the cybersecurity stuff too, and I guess we can quickly talk about that. But the straight theft, like you're talking about, and now we're getting into strategic theft, which really is a lot of it is cybersecurity. It's your emails getting hacked, and not knowing, really not even knowing where any of your stuff's stored, like all your data. Once they get into like where your stuff's stored at, they can get into any type of load.
Yeah, your ransomware, your phishing.
Yeah, the phishing is a big thing. We do a lot of security through our agency to making sure that all our officers are up to date, looking for red flags in emails so that we don't get phished on our information as well.
Oh, that would be, what a target that would be. Yeah. You'd just win, yeah.
Yep. So... yeah, that's a step into the data. Like, what load do I want to go get, and if they can find that out through your TMS or through any of your information, that's ideal, right? So if they can figure that out by getting access, and it's gone beyond that too. In some cases, I'm hearing rumors that they're actually getting, if we want to use the term espionage, they're reaching out to people now, and working with people at brokerages to say, hey, can you get us this information, and we'll pay you. And it's like a one-time transaction, and then that one-time transaction's happening, and then they're moving on to someone else. And so they're not keeping that going. They're not trying to keep that relationship out there, but there's rumors that that's happening too.
I heard that too.
So it's beyond that, but if they get in on that data, and so this comes down to having that correct defense for your organization, ensuring that you're cyber aware. Cybercrime is a $10.2 or $10.6 trillion industry.
Crazy.
It is the third largest GDP in the world. It is U.S., China, and cybercrime. So that's an amazing number, and it's a wild number. But as a small business, it can crush your company, and you have virtually simple measures that you can take to stop things from happening. So we've almost every session I've been in over the last 10 days across multiple different.
He travels nonstop, everybody.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
He's never home.
It's that time of year. Has turned into a discussion around freight fraud, cybercrime, or some derivative thereof. And some of them have started out like, how do you operate your business efficiently? And then half the session turns into cybercrime and freight fraud. So it is a huge topic in the industry, and that's why the Atri study kind of surprised me that it didn't become included in there, because we're all talking about it. I think it was just propped up in the last couple months, and their study just didn't hit on it. So,
yeah, no, it is interesting, and I think going back to cybersecurity. So I do know people who had like they don't post the high value freight on like load boards. They don't post those at all. They do the outbound, but their cybersecurity was bad, and they had their TMS hacked, and then they had their own TMS, had that hacked, and they got all the information anyway. So what's the point of not posting and stuff like that whenever you don't even have a clean, health that way?
Or even beyond that, the shipper's just not taking base level security measures and lets them in. I mean, we go into our most obvious one right now, which is the Guy Fieri situation, which we had multiple procedural issues.
No, I got to send you the video.
You should,
I saw 60 Minutes. Yeah, Guy Fieri had a bunch of tequila stolen. I think it was the LA unit. They recovered one truck. Yeah.
But that has procedural issues written all over it.
All over it.
From the broker through the shipper.
Right.
And any one person along the way could have said, does this carrier meet the carrier that we booked the load with?
Yeah, I think it was a cross-dock, right? They did it cross-docking right over.
Well, they eventually cross-docked it, but
I think they did that right over the border.
But it was double brokered along the way too.
Right.
And the original logistics company booked a carrier who then booked 2 other carriers, and that shipper and that carrier, the original shipper and the original logistics company could have just verified, right?
Right.
And when you're dealing with that type of volume and a controlled liquid, in this case liquor, what are we doing, guys?
Right.
I mean, that's where I come in at is this is trucking 101, and we also, verifying that video or documentation of the truck and documentation of the driver, that would have resolved all of this very, very quickly.
Or finding them quickly. And I know you guys have talked to me before about as a dock worker seeing like tell signs like on the back of the trailer, different things to look for, and then like when you're driving down the road and they can't maintain lanes and stuff like that. What are some big things that you would advise? Let's say like a stand-up person driving down the road, and then maybe like a dock worker warehouse. What are some weird things that they should see?
Seeing like the bolt patterns on the hasp, making sure that they're the right way, the nuts aren't exposed to where the hasp can be removed real easy while keeping the seal intact to allow pilferaging. How the driver's interacting with the dock workers. Does he seem nervous, or is he demanding, or is he trying to get out of there really quick? Things like that should be all also red flags.
Yeah, I think the really quick thing is, so even like on my end, when I have a new customer coming in and I'm already suspicious of fraud, and then they keep pushing me, they're like, let's sign up, let's do this, and they don't want me to do anything extra, and I'm like, slow down, dude, like no. And right there, red flag. Same thing with the dock worker too, like if they're like really wanting to get out there, they're like speeding out of it.
Pushy.
Yeah. And then I know another thing too, you mentioned just the last one I haven't heard before was whenever you're seeing the saw marks on, right? Or what did you say?
So like if they have to cut off the hasp at some point, or they're getting sloppy, and instead of using maybe a bolt cutter to cut the bolt seal, they might be using a sawzall or a wheel cutter, and they might actually clip the trailer. You'll see a bunch of marks all around the hasp. Granted, you're going to get some marks just from opening the doors, but nothing along the lines where you would see like chunks of the paint missing, and especially in that area, it should be a little bit of a clue that hey, this is something's gone on with this trailer before.
Right. Yeah, and I think just that simple awareness, it's not rocket science. And a lot of people are like, a dock worker's not going to go walk out there. Okay, well then look at the back of the trailer. Yeah. At a minimum, look at what you're loading, period. And that's it, before they open things up or whatever. And like you said, the behavior of the drivers.
Correct, yeah. Or they're like picking up frozen foods or something, and they show up at the dry van. It's not even a reefer. That definitely should be some sort of red flag, knowing that they're
that just shouldn't get loaded. And if that shipper loads that, shame on them. That's a claim just in general that's going to happen.
That's just lazy dock working. So it's stuff that we've seen. So
I'm sure you guys have seen a lot. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks so much for flying out here and being
anytime.
part of the Broke Carrier Summit. And you flew out here too to do this for me, so thank you.
6 hours.
I know.
6
I'm sorry.
hours.
He had same thing. He
But,
came from California.
it
Poor guys.
notched me up to 5 BCSs. So I've made 5 of the 6 now. So yeah,
I'm glad I held you at gunpoint for it.
I don't think there's too many people that have made 5.
No,
so
not me.
that's there's not very many people. I mean, I'm up there with Don Favier, Bain's at 6. So
And you're at 5?
I'm at 5.
I think I'm at 4.
There's very few
Not
people
as
at
cool as you
5.
guys.
Yeah.
God dang
so,
it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Well, it's a fun conference. So, anyways, thanks, you guys. Bye.